Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here to discuss some fun stuff with the challenge today as we lead into more stuff with the challenge Wisconsin. I'm Richie Goreski. I think you guys know me. I just got second place, the male runner up for the last season that just aired. And Michael knows I have totally not said anything about this before. This is like the first time I've ever gladly mentioned how I got second, right? The look you give like you're already annoyed. Anyways, we're here to just
We
discuss
just got
some fun
started.
stuff with the Challenge MG and kind of cap that off as we transition to the Challenge Wisconsin. I almost said Survivor Wisconsin. As we transition to the Challenge Wisconsin, one of the things we wanted to do was kind of to pay some homage, honor, whatever the word is, to past of the challenge seasons that Michael has hosted. And I figured a fun way to do it be Michael to kind of cap off some of his favorite moments, some of the favorite people he's had, maybe even some people he'd want to see back in the future. So, Michael, I'll mute myself and I'll pass the mic to you then.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So thank you for having me, Richie. Of course. I appreciate it. Letting me uh broadcast that last season because Lord knows it took a while for me to even have the energy to put it out there. It was really good and it was really great. So I was thankful that we finally got to do that. All right. So some of the things you had me do. So I have the five major moments that just happened overall. So I don't remember a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, and because I only filmed like I want to say like five or six out of like the 15, 16 times we
I
actually
think
did
it was
it.
16 seasons when I looked it up. I did a lot of research because I tried to do a little bit before I went on for my season a while ago before I even competed. But
Yeah,
I'm
I think
interested what seasons too because I'm curious about what seasons each came in.
oh God, I don't even yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, I started that when I was like 14, 15. And yeah, I kept going until I think my sophomore year of college, which was back in like before COVID. So, it's been a while.
Right. And just
Um,
to verify, so when you did one of your last seasons,
mhm.
one sophomore year, that would have been like right before Survivor Whitewater began too, right? So this was along the cusp of that beginning.
Correct, correct. So I had been doing that for a couple years with just like people from high school and like the surrounding area in my hometown. And then I got into college and I met Devin my sophomore year, and we were talking about our love for Survivor. And from there, he was like, "Hey, it'd be really cool to like actually play Survivor, a version of it." And I was like, "That's funny. Like, I already do that with the challenge." And then I had aired like I think my second to last or my third to last season or whatever, and he like watched it and was like, "That's exactly what I want to do." And I was like, "Cool, let's do it." And so yeah,
I love Devin. Devin's great. We love you, Devin.
yeah. Miss him, my man. All right. So my first like big moment that I got was when we did our first rival season, which wasn't filmed unfortunately, but this had to be I think like the fourth or the fifth season, I think. And I don't really have a specific major moment. Um, in the beginning of it, it wasn't what it ended up becoming because like a lot of the people that would compete, it was people that I was friends with, but like they weren't necessarily friends with each other all the time. So like it was in our high school is small, so like they knew each other, but like it was a little weird. So like it was a lot more um I don't know what the word is, but it was a lot less vocal and blunt and upfront and more like, oh, like they would think some snarky stuff in their head, but they wouldn't say it out loud. So Rivals that season was pairing up some of those people who like didn't like each other, if you don't know what Rivals is. And they had to work together throughout the whole entire time. And some of the people that I thought were really like funny to put together was this girl Paige, who's like this, like she's pretty much your popular, everyone likes. She's really funny, but she didn't at the time like Connor, and Connor competed on Survivor eventually, but Yeah, they didn't like each other. They were partners, and that was
Wait,
funny.
just to verify, do you mean the one that just did Survivor Wisconsin's first and third
No,
season,
no,
or the one that
no.
did Whitewater 2 and 9?
Yeah, so he did, yeah, Heroes versus
Okay, so
Villains, and
last
Last Chance.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
very
con.
interesting.
Yeah, they were partners and they ended up winning, and that was a funny dynamic. Bailey, who won Survivor One World, she was partnered with my friend's ex-boyfriend, and they're completely different people, like very different people, and they were partnered, and that was hilarious to watch. And then, of course, my best friend Ilse was partnered with this girl who they were both really athletic girls. Like Ilse was a strong like state champion in cross country, and then Sadie was like a state champion in track. So like they were very athletic girls, but they didn't run in the same circles, and so they didn't like each other, and that was an extremely fun pairing.
And
And I
then
think
just to sorry, just to verify, Ilse, she's I thought I heard through the grapevine, she's like a sister or cousin of the Survivor Whitewater legend herself, Giselle, right?
yeah, they're cousins.
Got cousins. Okay, I heard there were sisters
They're
from somewhere. I
cousins.
don't know who, but
And their family tree is a little crazy, but yeah, they're just cousins. Yeah, cousins, I think.
yeah,
Um,
I heard the name and I'm like, that sounds familiar. I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, also and Sadie would be so Sadie is Seth's brother's wife. So yeah, it's a very small town. But yeah, so
Sounds like
that
a
was
really good like family tree there you got.
yeah, it's a little crazy. All right, so that was kind of my whole first major moment thing. The first time that I actually was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. And so, yeah, just filming Rivals for the first time. And then for my second big moment, was I think it was like the eighth season that I did. It was Invasion. And so Invasion, essentially the theme on the MTV show is that you bring a bunch of competitors to compete like a regular challenge. But there's like a significant like less players than a usual season, and that's because like halfway through or something, they bring in like a bunch of players who have actually won challenges before, and they invade the game. And I did that, and it was kind of the first time that I ever had like players come into the game late. And on the MTV show, it's like it looks really easy, but in real life, it's actually extremely difficult because you have to like plan where you have to hide them, and like they come in and it's hard to tell them when to drive up and like come into the show. And yeah, it was
So
just
how did you guys hide them? Did you have them like stay in a different room like Survivor Whitewater, Wisconsin, or SNC would do with like the jury, or like people waiting to get back in, or was it like they just roamed around and filmed or did production, or like
no, I don't even think I think I had them like not even show up until like an hour into us playing the game. But okay, so for on Survivor, how we usually we filmed it at someone's house. On the challenge, we primarily filmed like in like the park across the street from my house.
all
So
right.
like, yeah, and so that was it was a really big park. Like it was on top of a huge hill, and at the bottom of the hill was like a section of the park. At the top of the hill was another section, along with the public swimming pool. So near the public swimming pool was the tennis court, and we were doing eliminations in the tennis court. And so I think the way I had everyone parked near the downhill of the park, and then I just was like texting them, and I was telling them, okay, we just finished the first elimination, whatever. And then I think it was the third elimination or the second, because I only ever do like 4 or 5 challenges in a season. Um, they came in, and I just because the pool house building was like directly in our line of vision, so like if cars did park or people were waiting, you couldn't see them from the tennis court. So I think I just had them hide behind the building, and then I just shouted like, come on in, guys, and then they came out, and it was like super cool. And that was one of the things I wish I would have filmed, because that I remember that being like super super cool.
Were
um
they like really shocked to see the champs come back
yeah,
in?
yeah, because I had never done that before. Like everyone who played was whoever was there on time. So like yeah, it was really cool. And it was so Adam it was a very likable person in like the circles of people that would
Adam
play.
Carr, right?
Yeah, Adam Carr.
Yeah, Adam.
And he was really close friends with Sadie, who I mentioned before, and this other girl named Megan, right? And they were all part of like the champions that walked in late or whatever. But immediately like I had them all vulnerable for elimination. Like they competed in the challenge and just I didn't give them any like leniency or anything like that. Like I was like, okay, these are the champions and they're also competing. Like they're here, whatever. And Adam, I think the vote was between Sadie, who was his good friend, and then Megan, who was his best friend. And it was that Sadie was going in unless Adam could tie the vote, but he didn't want to tie the vote because Megan was the other person who would be in that tie. And so I think he was trying to throw his vote away. And Sadie didn't want him to, so it was kind of like this cool, like back and forth argument, which I want to say was one of the first like actual arguments that we've had on the show. And of course, I didn't film it, and
Definitely
that
not the last though.
no, that's for sure not the last. And that was extremely interesting. And then one of my friends, Miles, he had competed in like the season before, a couple seasons before, and he had won. And coming into this season, he didn't have many friends. So like he just kept getting sent into elimination and winning and coming back, sent in and winning, come back. And like I think it was like the third elimination where he lost and he threw a fit and he was super mad about it because he just kept winning and then coming back, and it's just like it sucked for him. And I remember him storming off after yelling at them, and that was funny. Felt bad for him though, but yeah. And yeah, so that season was kind of interesting. Yeah, that was a good one. So that was my second moment having the champions come in. And then my third one is got to be like one of my favorite seasons. So I had a season called Deception, and that one was our first time. Excuse me, was our first time that we were in a completely different new location, and we were also spending the night there. So it was a 2 day type thing, right? We were camping, and I don't know if you know this, but you were in two categories. You either like camping or you absolutely hate it. I absolutely hated it. I hate being outside, the wilderness, the bugs. Like I can't do it.
That's a mood.
But there are people who do, and thankfully, like for me, I wasn't competing. I was just hosting, so I was able to like sit down and be like, all right, you guys have to go run up this hill, and I can sit down. But yeah, so tensions were a little hot, and I think a couple of us had just graduated high school. So this was like our first thing to like, we were freshly 18, joining the real world, whatever. And we went to do this camping challenge, right? And it was actually a lot of fun, I think. But this time, like how the argument with like Sadie and Megan and Adam was like, it was an argument without being an argument. Like you could tell like they were, if anything,
Like a joke argument.
yeah, but you could tell like they were actually like getting tense. On Deception, it was like a full-blown argument. And luckily, I actually filmed those ones. And there was a fight between Sadie. It was Sadie and Megan on one team, and Connor Hackett, who was on Heroes versus Villains and Last Chance, and Adam Carr. They were on another team, right? And there was other people on their teams, but the fight was between them four. I had said before the challenge started, one of the components of it, checkpoints of it, was that you had to throw a ball into a bucket, but you could not cross a line. And Adam's team, Adam was throwing and he threw for like the winning point. But as he threw his follow through, like his leg crossed the line. And I didn't catch it, but someone else did. Someone was like, hey, Adam crossed the line. And Adam was livid because he was like, that shouldn't count. That doesn't make any sense. This isn't a real sport. And I was like, you're right, but I did say don't cross the line. And it was just like a full-blown argument between Adam and Sadie, and it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny. But yeah, they were fighting, and Sadie was arguing about the fact that I said that you couldn't cross the line, and Adam was saying that it shouldn't count or it shouldn't matter. And I mean, to be fair, I had them redo it, right? I was like, okay, I'm not going to count that point, but you guys can go again once I tell you guys to go again. But they ended up losing anyways, so Adam had to go into elimination, and that was hilarious. And then the second argument that happened, Connor was dating one of my good friends, Gabrielle, at the time. That's her name. And I think the challenge was trivia or something. And I don't even remember what the argument was.
I feel like they're always a good argument that comes from like trivia. Like look at Survivor Panama and that like challenge where they have to guess like who said what. Like those challenges are always so much fun.
Yeah, and I think Gabrielle, oh my god, I don't even remember. Gabrielle had like gotten an answer wrong or something, and or I don't even remember. Something had happened in trivia, and I had Connor and Bailey, two people who played Survivor, had already been eliminated in the game, so they were helping me record and stuff like that, and I like confided in them. I was like, okay, what should we do? How should I go about this situation? And I don't even remember what happened, but they were like, just have her like answer a question again. And I don't remember if it was Gabby or someone else, but yeah, Gabrielle got it wrong or something. And so I think they were voting to go into elimination. And Sadie was up for elimination and she was like, okay, can I just quit? Because Gabrielle's really mad and I'm scared she's going to eat my head. And someone was like, wait, Gabby, why are you mad? And Gabrielle, like, there's a video of it where she's like, I'm mad because my boyfriend's supposed to be on my side and he's going against me, and she's like shouting, and then she's like yelling at him, and they were, I don't know, I don't even remember what happened there, but it was, that one was funny to watch. And yeah, it was a good season. It was a good season, and Adam and Gabrielle ended up winning that season, so that was really cool for them. But yeah, yeah, that one was a good season. That was my third moment.
I feel
um
like Adam always has a couple of really big things. I was gonna mention this before, but I feel like, that's the second fight Adam had over someone
yeah,
throwing the ball.
yeah, 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 probably. And
Yeah, the second fight.
one of the in one of the eliminations, I think it was the elimination where they were throwing darts to pop the balloons. I had made a joke to Adam where I was like, Adam, don't cross the line. And
I think I
Adam,
gotta remember hearing that. Yeah, I think I remember
yeah,
hearing that.
and it was because of that. But yeah, Adam was a is a force to be reckoned with, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
no, he definitely gave me like a shock. Like the fact that like that's why I was so sad. Me and him got voted off back to back in Survivor Wisconsin one because I know I wasn't like the reason he got on Survivor Wisconsin, but like I talked to Devin for like the month between Challenge Battle for Independence filming and Wisconsin one Survivor Wisconsin one filming. I talked to him so much. I'm like, dude, Adam's funny. Like you got to get his ass on the season, and like
Yeah,
it
too
was so
bad.
funny. Yeah, if me and him would have made it further, you definitely know it would have been the second part of that story. So that rivalry.
Yeah, so my fourth moment was when I did Rivals 2, and I think I filmed this one as well. But I do want to mention, please, no one go and watch these seasons. They're so badly filmed. I'm pretty sure I had an Android, and so they're just, it sucks. But
An
anyway,
android.
yeah. And so, okay, Rivals 2 was a good season too. We had brand new rivals, brand new teams, and it was really interesting. But there's a moment in like the second or third challenge. The challenge was they were like with their partner, they were both blindfolded and they had to find like the end of this like race maze, whatever. Excuse me. And Riley, who competed on Survivor Battle
Battle
Royale.
Royale. Yeah, third out of
Um,
that season. I'd love to see Riley back, by the way. Sorry, continue.
yeah, so Riley was partnered with Ilse, and I gave them the go ahead, and they were go like looking for the end of the maze race, whatever. And someone called it out, right? They were like, hey, he's like looking under his blindfold. And I asked him, I was like, did you look under your blindfold? And he was like, yeah, it was strategy. And obviously, that's not strategy. That's him cheating. And so I was like, all right, you guys can go again, but whatever ending time you have, I'm going to add like 15, 20 seconds to it. And that was their penalty because he was cheating. And so that was that on that. But Seth and Sadie were partnered that season. And if you don't know Sadie, well, you guys don't know Sadie. Sadie, of course, is a very outspoken person, right? She's not mean, she's not confrontational, but she will say whatever's on her mind, right?
Yeah, so she's like
And
very blunt.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, she was really nice. I haven't talked to her in a whole long time, but she's now married and has a child on the way, so good for her. She's adulting. But yeah, in high school, she was extremely nice, but she was a very outspoken person. And in this argument, she would not let it go. She didn't think that 15 seconds was enough, that they need to add more seconds to their time or something like that. And so Riley was trying to justify him using strategy, right? And even Ilse, his partner, was like, Riley, you cheated. Like, shut up. Stop arguing with them. But then because she doesn't like Sadie. Sadie was like, it doesn't matter, like you guys need to add more seconds, you guys were cheating, this and that. And then Ilsa was like, how is it any of your business? Are you the host? Like, are you, they already added 15 seconds, like what's your deal? And then yeah, they were just going back and forth, and I thought that was so funny. And yeah, yeah. And that was, I think that was the first season that I actually had like real like jerseys for them where it said the challenge, and like it was really cool because there was like 7 teams of like rivals, and they all had different colored shirts, so that was really cool. But yeah, that was my fourth moment. And then for my fifth moment, I have the season after that that we filmed. It was all at the pool because I was a lifeguard for a couple years, and we're allowed to stay at the pool like after hours, right? And so one time I had the good idea to have a challenge season that we could like use the pool for challenges, you know? And one of the challenges was, I think we were down to the final four, like last challenge before the final, and it was guys versus guys and girls versus girls. So there was no partners, there was no teams. But one of the challenges was you had to swim across the pool and find a ring, I think, and you had to bring it back and put it in your goal. Mind you, the pool house had like closes at 11 p.m. Right, no matter what day it is, the pool, the park, all closes at like 11 p.m. And for like we've been like the cop has driven past and been like, hey, it's like 11:30 and you guys are still here, like you can't, the park is closed, right? No matter if we were lifeguards or not. And so since we were at the final four challenge and it was close to being 11, we had to speed up the challenge, right? And how this challenge worked is it was eliminating someone after every, like the last person to bring a ring back. So like if you were the last person to bring the ring back, you were eliminated. We would just keep going down from there until we only had one left. I think it was Gabrielle and Giselle. They were the last. There was one ring left, and they had to run out, grab a ring, and bring it back. Because we were short on time, I said to everyone, I was like, "Hey, for this last one, you can just bring it back and touch your basket. You don't have to fight the other person and put it in. Just bring it back and touch your basket at the same time. Then we'll count it." The problem is like in Survivor, you have times where people don't listen, right? When you're explaining rules, of course, like some people doze off or they're
Right.
talking.
Or they'll
However,
just like talk over everything, or they'll be like, "Oh, I
exactly.
know this, so I'm not gonna listen," type of deal.
Exactly. However, on the challenge, they never listened to me. Again, we were 14, 15, 16 year olds, whatever. They never listened to me, right? I constantly had to keep saying the rules. And they, one of the biggest challenges I had was them being like, well, you didn't say that before. And me having to be like, yes, I did. And so when this challenge was happening, and I had said, like, you don't have to put the ring in your basket, just touch the basket and you will move on forward and win or whatever. Giselle and Gabrielle were fighting for that last ring. Giselle got to her basket, her goal, and she touched it. And I said, all right, that's it. Giselle wins. Gabrielle, again, she was one of my best friends at the time, and it was just a lull moment in our relationship. So now she didn't win. Giselle won the challenge. And Giselle has to choose which girl is coming to with her to the final, and which last two girls are going to go into elimination, right? Gabrielle is pissed because she doesn't have any. I don't think she had any alliances this season. So Giselle won, and it was her and two other girls. So she knew that she was going into elimination. And so, because Giselle had like another best friend that she was like aligned with. So Gabrielle was pissed. She was furious because she didn't hear the rules or she didn't listen for it. And now she's claiming that I didn't say it, and then that she lost and she has to go into elimination. She throws kind of a tantrum. I didn't really hear what she says. People throw tantrums all the time when they lose challenges and stuff like that. I don't take it personally. I don't usually care. I'm like, whatever, have your moment. I've
Right,
been
because
pissed
it's like
losing.
when we're in the middle of hosting, there's not a lot we can do. If we say the rules and you don't
Exactly.
listen, then it's like,
It's not right, exactly. So I was like, all right, whatever. Gabrielle knows she's going into elimination. I hear her throwing or saying some stuff in the pool house, and I'm ignoring it obviously because I'm not going to change the rules for her, you know. And so Bailey and Seth were helping me. Because they had to work that day, they weren't competing, but I hear them come into the pool house, and I hear Bailey being the nice person that she is. She's like, Gabrielle, what's wrong? And I hear her starting to talk shit. She's like, people are making up fucking rules and this and that. And I was like, all right, time out. no. I was like, I'm gonna give you a pass for being mad that you lost, but I'm not gonna sit here and let you say that I'm making up rules just because you didn't win. So I started yelling at her, and I didn't record this part on purpose because I knew that this, first of all, the challenge doesn't matter. All right. I'm not gonna record a fight between me and my friend because of a video that gets like
Right.
30 views, you know? And so I like turned off the camera and I was like, why are you being messy? Like I told you the rules. It's not my fault you didn't listen. What do you want me to do? I made it simpler because she worked at the pool. She knows exactly why I was making it simpler and easier, and making the challenge go faster because we were about to get kicked out, you know, and we still had a whole final to do. And so I told her that. And so we argued a little bit, and then I was like, all right, okay, this isn't worth it, right? Couple minutes go by where I'm like, all right, let's just finish this up. And, or no, I think I had to do the boys round. And she comes out and she's like, you know what, Michael, I'm not doing an elimination. I quit. And I was like, you're joking. And she was like, I quit. I'm done. I'm not doing it. Whatever. Forget it. And I was like, and so I was like, all right, that's fine. But I couldn't argue with her necessarily or keep arguing with her because one, it was stupid, but also B, Connor was dating Gabrielle at the time, and if I didn't want to do the whole like him trying to defend his girlfriend or whatever, and then me getting into an argument with him, and like, you know, I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna go back and forth. So I was just like, all right, quit, fine. I'm not gonna take it personally. Quit because you lost. That's fine.
Right.
And yeah, no, it was. I think it was one of the first times that I legitimately had someone be like, you know what, I'm done. And so that was crazy.
If she had
But
stayed in and actually competed in that elimination challenge with whoever she was up against, do you think she would have won, or do you think she still goes that route?
let me think. I
What
think
was
the
that challenge actually too?
one
Because
was
I'm curious now.
physical. It was physical, and it was so Giselle had won. It was Gabrielle, Ilse, and Natty. So she would have said Natty and Ilse. Yeah, I think she could have won. I think she could have won that elimination. She had the strength over Ilse, that's for sure. And Ilse and Giselle weren't necessarily aligned that season, so I could see Gabrielle winning. I just think she got so frustrated because up until then, like there was this major alliance of girls, and she wasn't a part of it, so she was just like fed up with it. But yeah, I think she could have won. But we didn't even have that last elimination anyway because for the boys, the guy that was dating Ilse at the time, her boyfriend at the time, he ended up having to quit. And like I think he had a time commitment or something and he couldn't make the final. So then we didn't even have a final elimination anyway because he had quit and then Giselle, or not Giselle, Gabrielle had quit. So we went straight into the final after that. But yeah, that was a major moment. And yeah, yeah. Those are kind of the five top major moments that I can remember. Moments
Um,
or seasons, I guess.
well, the amount of drama and tea from all that alone is like, wow.
It was insane. It was
Like,
insane.
there's so much tea I've heard from just Survivor, SNC, Whitewater, Wisconsin. Just that's insane.
For sure.
So the, obviously you've had a lot of people on. Some people have already went on to compete in Survivor, which most recent one being Adam Carr, who went to play Survivor Wisconsin 1, which filmed a month after the Battle for Independence film. So I was curious about this. Are there any other like a good amount of people, like 3 to 5 people, or even more than that, if you know a lot more, or even think that you think could have potential, whether it be Survivor, future seasons of the challenge, or anything in between that you think could have a lot of potential?
Yeah, I think so. The likelihood of them actually doing anything in the future, maybe not super high, but I have a couple that I think um would make a good transition for it. Like to start off, I think her name is Megan Weagle. So we had two Megans that were friends, and so to differentiate them, we called them by their full government name, and one of them was Megan Weagle. The problem is, and why I never even ask her to make that transition is because she's about like 4 years older than me. So like she was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. So by the time we actually started doing Survivor, which I think was in 2020, she had already graduated her college. She is now a whole ass nurse. I think she's like 27, 28 now. And so Yeah, that sounds right. And so, yeah, she's already living her whole adult life. But it's funny because when we beforehand, before the challenge really took off, we had actually talked about it every now and then, talked about how Survivor would be um, a good thing or a good season of the challenge to play before the Survivor was even a thing. She's super clever. She's super crafty. I think she is the only person or female to win 3 seasons of the challenge. Um, like I said, she's won 3 times. She's super smart. She's super strategic. She is not very athletic. She doesn't like. She complained about the running challenges. She complained about doing eliminations. Um,
Well, complaining about running, I never heard anyone do that before.
right,
I've never
exactly.
complained about running.
Exactly. And so she hated that part about it. But like the strategic and the social and the intimidation, she was very good at. And so I think she would be good on a Survivor season, maybe not on another challenge. I don't even think, even before I even stopped doing challenges, she had been done way before that. So yeah, sorry, there's something in my eye. All right, so my second person that I think would be really good to do either another season of the challenge or cross on over to Survivor is Ilse, Giselle's cousin. She's really likable. She could be really quiet, but like once she gets a little comfortable, she can make some moves. She's quick. She's agile. Like I mentioned before, she's made it all the way to state and cross country in high school. She's won once or twice in her state title. But she's won once on the challenge, and yeah, she's more. You know how Bailey, like you can give her a puzzle, right, for Bailey, and she'll
Right.
figure it out in 2 seconds. Ilsa's more logical. Like I don't think puzzles and riddles would be her strong suit, but something where like if you know when you go and you're talking strategically with someone in Survivor and you're like trying to get a vote to go in one direction,
Yeah, like you're
but you
trying to
have to
convince them.
yeah, you have to convince them that it's also good for their game. Ilsa's good at doing that. Like she's very good at making people make decisions that benefit her, but convincing you that they also benefit you when they don't. She's very good at that. So I
So
think
she's
she,
like good at pulling a Suri, essentially, Suri Fields.
yeah, 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 I would go with that. Like I said, and she's never shy about what's best for her. If you ask her straight out, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, it was good for me." So, but like she'll do it with a smile on her face. So, and the problem is like her strength isn't there because she's so tiny. Like the girl's like 5'1", and yeah, no. But I think she'd make a good transition to to come back for the challenge or Survivor. Would she ever do them? I have no idea. I don't think so, but I think she'd be a good contender.
You never know. She could. She could
That's
watch us
true.
and be like, I got to get back in. I'd love to see.
Right,
I've heard
right.
pretty good things in the past about her. So, I mean, I'd love to have
She's
her.
super competitive, so I think she would be good to come back. But yeah.
Yeah, should be
Um,
interesting. Love to have her
is
on
that
or see her on again.
yeah, that's true. I wish. My third person that I have is actually Lucas, who did the challenge. The problem with him, okay, so the dude is like extremely athletic. I think he's a football coach or a volleyball coach or something like that. He's extremely athletic, very good at the challenges. That's all easy for him. He lacks the strategy. Like he's not very strategic, and I think that could be his downfall. I think if he had someone he was really good friends with, I did. So he's done 3 seasons. One season he did with his girlfriend, but the problem is his girlfriend didn't have many friends. His second season he did it with one of his good friends, so he was a little more comfortable to make decisions and make do blindsides and things like that. And then on the challenge that he just did that just aired,
With me.
yeah, exactly. He just isn't. He's like, oh no, I'm good. Like I don't want to stress about it. Like it's not a big deal. And yeah, so I think if he turned up his strategy a little more, he could make a real good difference. He's a strong dude. He's a really likable dude. So yeah, I think
Right.
Lucas
I
would
mean,
be.
I would say he's a good strategist, but that's because he made a move I want him to, so that's just me talking.
Yeah, I was like, would that be more of your that I feel like that says more
It's
about
just I
you.
think it's a little biased here about me. I thought he was good. No, like I would definitely agree with that. Lucas, I think, could honestly do very whether it's a challenge or survivor. I could see Lucas coming
Yeah.
back in. another deep run. So
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, he always makes it far. His first time in his 3 seasons being eliminated is on the season we just did. So
because
yeah,
of
no,
me.
he would
Okay,
do.
I will defend this though. That was
Mhm.
supposed to be Adam being eliminated, not Lucas. We
Yeah,
were all shocked because that was the plan. So sorry, Lucas.
because he
We love
couldn't
you.
blow a balloon, which I feel like, I mean, not a life skill, but you can't blow up a balloon. I mean, Adam, the whole entire time he was like, he was pretending to be struggling. Adam was not breaking a sweat, like even a little bit in that elimination. I was sitting there and I was like, all right, Adam, speed this up if you're gonna win. Like, come on, you can't blow
Well,
up a
okay.
balloon.
Did anyone notice this though? I don't know if anyone noticed this with that specific challenge. That was the same one they did in Battle Royale. I forgot which round it was, but I remember that was in Battle Royale because when they did fans versus favorites, that was in Maggie's little scene pack when they did that like big entrance, just blowing up balloons like. And like, if
Yeah,
Maggie would have made it to that point, though, imagine how she would have did. Like,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so the next person I have is actually my friend Gabrielle, who I mentioned a couple times. The girl is like extremely smart. I haven't really spoken to her in couple. I no, sorry, I've spoken to her here and then, just a couple happy birthdays, a couple happy holidays. But I haven't seen her since the summer after I graduated high school. So it's been like 5, 6 years since I've seen her. She was always really, she played volleyball, she ran track, she was an athletic girl. I think she's a doctor now. I'm not sure. I feel like that is completely wrong. Because in my head, if you wear a lab coat, you're a doctor, so that's probably not true at all. But she was always extremely smart, and a very likable person. But she's definitely has the more of that outspoken, doesn't take shit from anybody, will get into arguments if she needs to, if she feels disrespected, does not let you talk sideways to her. She's witty and she's funny and she was really smart, and I feel like she would make she would make a good player in both Survivor and the Challenge. I think if she came back to the Challenge, she would do good. If she played Survivor, she would do good. I think the Challenge is a little traumatizing for her now because the last time she played, she quit. But yeah, I think she would do
yeah,
well.
interesting redemption arc story. She did came back though.
For sure, for sure. But to be fair, on her end, the chat there's a lot that went on after that season of the challenge, with because she ended up breaking up with Connor Hackett, of course, and then Elizabeth, who played in Survivor Heroes versus Villains, and wait, did she play in Heroes versus Villains? What did she play in?
Elizabeth Holland, she did Heroes
Yeah,
versus Villains, and she was out right before the merge, and then she was first wheel last chance. And I was sad.
that's
I wish
right.
she would have
That's
gone
right.
further because I saw a lot of potential in Elizabeth that season. So I was kind of sad she
Yeah.
didn't.
So, but her and because Elizabeth and Connor had a thing after her and after he broke up with Gabrielle, they don't like each other, and it just became a huge thing. And so the whole like being the challenge probably reminds her of me and Connor and Elizabeth because they also competed in that, and it's just yeah, it probably wouldn't be. It'd probably take some convincing to get her back on that. But yeah, I think she'd do very well at Survivor, and she could do well on the challenge. But yeah. And then the last person who I think should make the transition from the challenge to Survivor is, I think, Becca. I think Becca would do phenomenal going from the challenge to Survivor. Um, she's had a whole transformation ever since what's it called? The challenge that we filmed. Okay, so we filmed Battle for
Battle for
Independence in
Independence.
what, June 2022?
June 11th. Yeah, I put that in the description for every episode that came out. It
Hmm.
was June 11th, if I recall correctly. So
2022?
yeah, 2022.
Okay, yeah. Um, so not a lot of people know this, but so Becca has never been out of shape necessarily. She just wasn't fit. She wasn't this like fitness girl, right? She's always been fit. She wasn't like a person who works out, right? But so ever since then, she had a couple issues regarding her health, but then she had a complete transformation. She now goes to the gym like 24/7, is even tinier than she was before. Like I said, she was never out of shape, but she was never like a fitness person. And she has been like turned into one. And I think with the constantly working out and her like attitude attitude to like be able to like make friends and be likable and is really easygoing. And I think she may or may not struggle a little bit when it comes to like strategy, because even for me, like you know how going into a vote, you're like, okay, this is what the last conversation I had with everyone, and this is who I think we're voting for. But you always
Yeah,
get
but you're
scared that
never really fully sure.
exactly. And I think that would be a little bit of a struggle for her, because you can have a last conversation with someone and be like, okay, we're definitely gonna vote for this person, and then get there and like vote for someone completely different. And I feel like Becca would sit there and be like, wait a minute, like how does that make sense? Because just like that part of it is like confusing and hard to like adapt to. And I think she might struggle in that, but she definitely can hold her own. So I think Becca would make a good transition to Survivor. But
Yeah,
she is filterless. So I feel like that part might be a little harder too. But yeah, those are my five people who I think would be good.
and then just out of curiosity, I heard this as a rumor, and you might be able to confirm or deny this because I heard it's like this was like a month or a little over a month after. I thought I heard it from her or someone else that was by her that she
Mm,
was supposed to be in Survivor Wisconsin 1 before some stuff came up. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't know if she would
mhm.
want everyone knowing about every
Yeah,
single aspect of
exactly.
it. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, was she supposed to be in Survivor Wisconsin 1?
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh
Yeah, she's
wow.
supposed to compete on there. But of course, like I said, she had a couple things go on, and she wasn't able to do it. But you could see her in the background in some of the videos. She just wasn't able to like fully get in there and compete.
Right.
Yeah, she's a good time, and
Her and
I
Adam
think I.
Carr would have been funny duo.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah. I feel
Me
like
and Brienne versus Adam and Becca part 2. Like we missed out so much that season.
mm, I think we could have it could have been interesting, but yeah.
It would have been
Maybe.
interesting if we would have been out sucking up too, but that's just my opinion. All right, so there's some other stuff that I'm going to mention now. So now I want to go through a couple of big moments from the past season that just aired. Just a couple of my personal favorite big moments from the past season, and I promise they don't all revolve around me. I even try to make sure I at least pick. Yeah, I know you're shocked, Michael. So one thing I do want to say, a big moment that was one of my personal favorites was the nomination fight, and
Between Adam and Becca.
yeah, where it's like me, Adam, and Becca, and we're just going at it. I just thought that was so funny because, and this is some fun things I want to say for this. I was genuinely agitated because coming off of Legends, I was so annoyed because I'm like, okay, like it doesn't make sense for people to knock me out if I'm always never going to win. Like I'm always going to be the bridesmaid, never the bride. So why get rid of that person? Like you're going to easily be, and that's what I was trying to campaign. So most of that was mad, but what people don't know, a part of that was just me dicking around for the camera. So it's just me kind of not like egging them on, but I'm just kind of like half of it is for the plot, half of it is because I'm genuinely mad and just the fight. And then you even lost it at one point too. Like you on the camera just zooms into you losing your shit behind the
That
camera.
was so funny. I thought it was. I think you should have doubled down though. I don't think you should have been like, no, I'm just joking. Like it's not that big of a deal. I think you should have just been like, you should have just kept it serious. I think you should have not serious, but like you should have just been like, no, I'm for real. Like I want you gone, and I hate that you voted me in.
Oh my gosh. Like I
I think
was
that was the
genuinely
biggest
mad,
mistake.
and that's one of the reasons I started going after it because in that moment I'm like, okay, you're going for me, I'll go right after you, and that's how I usually play Survivor, which is to my fault sometimes because obviously I know I can definitely get in that mindset where it's like if someone screws me over once, I'm gonna think like they're gonna do it again, so why not do it to them before they can do it to me? And that's what I was trying to get Adam out, and it was kind of the birth of this rivalry, like it was kind of the climax of the birth of this rivalry that kind of started between me and Adam that season, which I thought was really fun. And I also kind of feel like adds up to the next moment I'm going to talk about, which is round 3. That just in the entirety of it, which was the round Lucas ended up going out on.
Oh, the one with the ball check.
Yeah, that round. I just the entirety I feel like was kind of a big moment because it starts off where it's clear Adam and Becca are in power. I'm trying to just get Lucas to like shift his vote. And you can see the gears start to slowly turn. It's like the whole thing turns a 180-degree power turn where by the end of the episode, now it's me and Brienne who have the power. Lucas gets screwed over, he gets out, but then it doesn't matter because it's 4 of the 2. Adam and Becca are kind of now they're in a minority position. I just think from a storytelling perspective, I think that's very interesting to kind of, I'm probably overanalyzing it too much. I just think that's kind of an interesting as an all in all, like just as a big moment where it's kind of like now the dynamic has turned. Now they're on the bottom. Now I'm on top. And then, kind of in the moment, I was just like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, what's going to happen with it? The one thing I will mention, this moment does not fully, I will kind of by default kind of involves me because I made the finals, but I was going to say the finale, I would say is a big moment just because it is kind of the first, if I recall correctly, the first one where someone won one of the challenges you hosted, but they played Survivor first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Brienne and Kyle, and they're just sitting there like, we won. Like Kyle finally gets his crown, Brienne gets her second crown, and I definitely that was really, really entertaining. It was a really fun fight, and he kind of like that, another part of a story arc with me and Haley once again getting so close, so far type of deal. I will say, even though I do still wish it was me, obviously, like why would I not want to win? I am still happy for Kyle. If I was gonna lose to anyone that season, it was Kyle. Like me and Kyle are very close friends for the last few years since I played my first season, which I comically now title Twit Manor. And I think Michael knows why I would call it Twit Manor.
Yeah.
It's like no comment. Yeah, no, like people did not play smart in my first season, which I think that was your second season, right? Twit Manor. Yeah, that was your
Yeah.
second heroes versus villains. Yeah. So,
Which
um,
I shouldn't have done, but
which
whatever.
way?
I shouldn't have done Twist Manor now, but whatever.
It was a fun. I feel like if it wasn't for us, that season would have just been dead. Like,
The season was dead.
I mean, oh, after we left, yeah, after we left, it was dead. But at least when we made some entertaining stuff about it, like you were kind of the center of the fourth round. I told him sending you to exile was such a dumb thing too, because I told him if you guys want them to target Michael, why are you giving him a chance to get something? And I'm like, guys, he's gonna get something. No, he won't. No, he won't. And then you get something, you use it, and I'm just like sitting there smugly. I'm like, I told you
Forgot
guys
about
what's gonna
that.
happen.
Damn. Good for me.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, just overall, those are kind of three of my favorite moments from this past season. Now I'm gonna kind of go reverse because originally I was gonna talk about a couple people from this past season that I thought would be good in Survivor or the challenge. But then you mentioned Becca and Lucas, which were my two,
Mhm.
which is good because I was gonna talk about them too. But now I'm gonna kind of do the inverse of that and talk about people who have played Survivor, who I definitely think would be very interesting to see on the challenge. I'm not going
Yeah.
to talk, I'm not going to bring up people who I'm considering on having in the next season we're doing, because for those of you who don't know, the big news is that I will be the one hosting the Challenge Wisconsin going forward, and I'm very excited for that. Whether I'm hosting Survivor, the challenge, I'm very like hyped about it. Like I can make up plans for it. I've watched a lot of it, so I'm excited. But to get from my people, I'm not going to mention who I have planned to ask for this first season because the only hints I'm going to give out is that it will kind of be people won't fully expect it, but there will be calls made from all over. A couple people already got the calls, but not too many. I'm not going to mention specifics, but I will probably mention a couple people who may think they're unlikely to get a call in the future seasons, like 2 and onward. But one person I definitely would love to see back on eventually, whether it be Survivor or the challenge, is Grant. Grant is someone who I feel like never really got a chance. Like Blood versus Water, he immediately just gets fucked over because Brienne's his sister. They're related. There's the never lineage, whatever, like of the bloodline, whatever. But like, I definitely think on a season by himself, I think Grant could definitely, he could definitely do well. Like, I know this is a fun fact too with Grant is that he was actually supposed to be on Last Chance. They had a date change. I don't know why. I think some stuff came up. Doesn't matter in the long run. Grant was supposed to be on it, but then some stuff came up and then the date changed and then he wasn't able to do it. I think it was something involving like a college thing. I don't remember, but Grant's someone who was like, I wish I could see back again, whether it's a challenge or Survivor. I could definitely see Grant doing pretty well. Like without that target of someone else on him, I think he could really flourish more as an individual player. So that's one of the people I'm going to talk about. Another person I think I definitely want to give a shout out to for this is Jack Mayer. Jack Mayer, I mean, he only played like one round in Last Chance. I do kind of feel bad for the poor kid because he never got a chance to actually play the game. And I know this is a really weird pick to say. I always see a lot of potential in some of the weirdest people. Like I was even telling Devin that I saw some potential in Elizabeth and Kyle G and Ashley going to last chance. So obviously I do have some really weird picks mixed into here. I do think with an actual opportunity to improve, and not to mention last chance was over 2 years ago. So a lot has changed since then, to be fair. I do think with Jack Mayer, there could be a potential interesting like redemption arc where he screws up the second challenge and last chance gets voted out, but then he comes back, plays a challenge, could do better, could actually dominate every single challenge. You never know. From a story perspective, it's kind of what I'm thinking at in terms of a redemption arc. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I could definitely be wrong. But I do think it's at least interesting to consider like, could that potentially be a thing? Um, One additional person I'm going to talk about too, the third person is Thomas from Fans versus Favorites. Now, Thomas is a good friend of mine. Like me and Thomas have been friends since like high school. And then when me and him went to UW Walkshop in college, me and Thomas became closer friends. And I mean, I know Thomas well enough to know he's very good at socializing with people. He can get in like really well. Like he can get people hyped up. He's really good at that. And I feel like he wasn't able to do that in Survivor because of the swap, where I kind of looked at it. And once I saw it, I was like, there's no way. Cause like Ness had the super idol. You and Steph were not splitting up. Like there was no way Thomas was getting out of that alive unless he won out to the merge. And he got voted off. I'm like, Thomas, no. Like I felt so bad. I know you didn't feel bad because you got him out, but
I felt a little bad. It just because yeah, I would have.
okay.
Yeah, it was because of the swap. Like if there was literally anybody else on there, we would have gone for it because didn't have any allies, and so I was like, yeah, no, I would have got rid of anyone else. But
Right. Like
so,
Thomas is just kind of like a situation of bad circumstances, like bad luck. I don't want to compare it to like Grant and Jack Mayer, but it's kind of like I do think it could be an interesting like potential for redemption for Thomas to come back, whether it be
yeah,
Survivor or the challenge, to come back in the mix and be like, hey, I'm still here. I didn't get my shot last time, so let me take my aim this time around. So I do want to talk about a couple of women now on the mech. I'm going to leave the last two for a woman. One person I definitely would be very interested to see on would be Brienne England. Brienne England
okay,
from Survivor Whitewater. Brienne would be very fun to watch, in my opinion. I think we've all seen a lot of really good stuff from her, not just physically, but like socially and strategically. And I do think that she could definitely dominate. I think it'd be very
absolutely,
interesting to see like Brie England come back and be like, hey, I dominated Survivor. Now let me dominate the challenge. So
yeah,
would Brie England do it? I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing Brie England back. I think it'd be a definite fun thing. The last one, I know I said I was only going to do five. This last one I'm actually tied for with two women, being Taylor from Survivor SNC and Steph from Survivor Whitewater. Now, would these two actually do it? I'm not sure. Taylor, for those of you who don't know, Survivor SNC, it was the Survivor Series I hosted that unfortunately got taken off. After I graduated, the group that ran it was not able to keep themselves together. They were disbanded by the campus as a result, and for some reason they decided to delete everything. And I wasn't told this till afterwards, and no hate towards anyone about it. I'm just sad I didn't get to really get closure with it and finish airing it out because we had a lot of cool stuff that never got aired out that I will probably talk about more in future little snippets like this. But Taylor was a woman who won the first season of Survivor SNC, and I know Michael, you saw it, or at least told me you saw like bits and pieces of it. Yeah. Taylor is definitely really good. Like she knows when to like keep her mouth shut, when to open it. Like she's also really good at not burning people. And I would honestly go on to say that's one of the biggest reasons she won the first season against her opponent, Chrissy, who I would also love to see back. But Taylor, I do think she's really athletic. She knows what to do. She's very good at just like I don't know how to describe it. Just she's the underdog who you never think would be the underdog, and like she just way she's able to maneuver herself throughout her entire season. I do think shows a lot of potential, not just for the challenge, but even if she comes to place for Wisconsin or whatever we may do in the future. I know we've made jokes about me and Devin at least have made jokes about Big Brother Wisconsin as a joke in the past, but who knows? I think Taylor definitely has a lot of potential to come back in the future. And Steph, it's kind of a similar thing where Steph is not like the stereotypical challenge beast, but even in her original season Went to War, if I recall correctly, she did win like multiple challenges, right?
Probably.
I mean, she's not like weak, and even the challenges she loses, she manages to come very close. And I know like there's like a fun little like back and forth. I don't want to say a rivalry between me and stuff, but it's like every time we play the game, it's like she's me and her, and especially in Legends, I heard she was really mad that I accused her of having the idol, which I thought was kind of funny looking back. But I do think because I in both seasons, not both, sorry, all 3 seasons I saw her play, it was very clear she was going either towards you or with Adam. Like she was not following you two till the end, but like she was essentially ready to like lay down her sword for you two. And I kind of think in a season without like a figure like that for Steph, where she's able to flourish kind of into her own individual player more so than not, I'd be really interested in seeing that for Steph. Like I do see potential in Steph. And regardless of whether she becomes a challenge beast in her season or not, I could really see potential in Steph moving forward. So, and then again, these people I just mentioned, they're not going to be in the first season. These are people, maybe they'll come in as alternates if necessary, but right now they're not currently planned for the first season just because I have a list of people. Some of these people got calls, some of them have not yet. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very excited to be hosting it though. So I'm not going to give too much info about this for big news. But what I will say is that again, calls are going to be made all over. And I think people are genuinely going to be surprised at what I have in store. Because for those of you who got a chance to see anything from Survivor SNC, people know I love to make the game unpredictable. I like to leave people standing on the edge of their seat to try to think like what's going to happen next. Like I don't give anything away before or during the game. After the game, they get to know everything that I was thinking, but during the game they won't know shit. So I don't tell them shit is the joke we said Survivor SNC. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm excited.
No, yeah.
Other than that, is there any other fun little comments, any little nods or anything like that?
Like for me, no, I don't think so. I guess I would just say, um, it's like different because like you've hosted before, so you know exactly
Right.
what to expect. I guess with the challenge, the only thing that makes the challenge different from Survivor is that Survivor follows the same plan like all the time. You get a group of people, put them in random teams depending on the theme, and then halfway through you merge them, right? And then it's just voting out, voting out, voting out, voting out, voting out, unless there's ties and things like that. But with the challenge, like just remember that you can literally do anything you want with them. Like you can put them in teams, you can put them in
Right.
partners, you can make them individuals, you can, you can. I like the flexibility of it. I like the being able to
Right.
like, because the hardest part was, finding people that were like when I filmed or did them, I would do them on Sundays because we were in high school. That was the only time people would be able to like come home from college or be not in sports and activities and clubs. And it made it really easy to do the challenge because like no theme was ever set, until day of. I was like, like, do I really want to continue with this or do I want to just switch it up and put them in random teams, like things like that. Like it's just like it was really easy to do whatever I needed to, depending on how many players I had. And that being said, because Survivor, and I will stand on this till the day I die, till the day I die, because Survivor is a social game, the challenge isn't. And I think that's what makes it as great as Survivor is like you don't have to bite your tongue. You don't have to not say anything because you need these people to vote with you. I mean, you can, and I'm sure it helps. But
Yeah.
the reason why I love it is because like it's so you can get so messy on there. You can yell at people, you can fight with them, and all that because like all these people, yeah, they can vote you in, they can try to get you out, but like it's what you do in that elimination round that determines whether these people that want you out succeeded or not. And I think that was the beauty of it is like just because a bunch of people don't want you there doesn't mean you still can't win, and yeah, I like the messiness of it. I like the chaos. I like the unpredictability. And yeah, just remember to always have a couple people there that will spice it up for the camera, like Christian. He will always speak his mind. Corey, Idol Sam, even like Emily or Vince, people like that. Like you need that person that will doesn't give a fuck. Like if they don't like you, they'll tell you things like that. So yeah,
Corey would be hilarious to have on. I
Corey
will say
would be
Corey is gonna
hilarious.
be. But yeah, like Summer Solstice Steel, where he just shakes shit up. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
great.
And that's my favorite part because Survivor, like I said, Survivor being social, like you have to bite your tongue and you have to convince these people that you're friends because you need their vote, and the challenge is completely different from that, and I think that's what makes it like super cool. So yeah, and also don't let these people, like if you're hosting and these people are like, Richie, you didn't say that, don't let them talk to you like that. It's the most
Oh
annoying.
right, right. I had that happen a couple times in Survivor SNC. Like one of our seasons, well, one of the themes we did was Battle of the Sexes for Survivor SNC. It was supposed to be the secondary slash backup theme, but stuff changed and we made that the main theme. We
Mhm.
had the twist was that the men had one more guy, but the woman, half the woman on their tribe were returning players from the previous season. So there was kind of like an interesting twist for each one. And
Mhm.
one returning woman who they all wanted out first got the idol. And
Mhm.
they were all like, "Oh no, you didn't tell this!" And like a production member immediately pulls out the clip. He's like, "He showed you, like he told you about it." I laughed so hard.
Just
Like,
because they're not listening to you doesn't mean it wasn't said, and that's the
oh
most
right,
annoying part. So yeah.
it's
Yeah,
definitely
no, have fun. I've done, like I said, I did the challenge when I was 15. I'm about to be 24 here soon. And so like yeah,
happy early birthday.
it is not, I mean not soon, but this year. And so yeah, it is all for you now. You take it and do whatever you want with it.
So you're passing the let me get it. You're passing the torch to me is what you're saying. Is that what I'm hearing correctly? I'm
Essentially,
passing the
yes,
torch.
I guess you can do that. You can say that.
Hey Devin, let me host Survivor Wisconsin too. You know I can do two at once.
Damn, that's crazy.
That'll
But
be
yeah.
fun. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas for challenge and Survivor, but that's besides the point. One
Mm,
other thing I am gonna say is that we do have fan voting open now for Battle for Independence. There are three awards up for grabs. One being the fan favorite award. You guys have noticed one from Survivor Whitewater. Me and Michael have both won this award in separate seasons, where essentially you get to vote for who your favorite person was in that season, whether it was the entertainment factor, you just like them, anything you want. Player of the season, another classic one, is essentially who was the best player, whether it be by cutthroat strategy or great physical play, whatever you want. Player of the season. And the last one is a special one I have for the season called the Rob Challenger Award. Essentially, this one goes out towards the five people who did not make the finals, being Lucas, Adam, Becca, Maggie, and Luke. And people can vote for one of those five players who they feel did not get a chance to show their potential in the game or in the finals or anything whatsoever. A fun little shout out to any of those five. Voting is now open. I will include the link in the description. And with that, I don't think there's anything else I can think of other than to stay tuned for more fun stuff along the way. Michael, thank you again for coming on for this.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And fun stuff is going to be on the way, you guys. I can't wait for everything to come out. Signing off, this is Richie Gretzky and Michael once again. We hope you guys have a great night and enjoy